namaste. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Joe Loftus of Nuit Astrology, and I was out here processing mugwort, and I thought I would film another one of my crazy spiritual experiences video. If you don't know what mugwort is, it's an herb that can be used similar to sage. It grows really well where I live here. In fact, she can become quite the invasive lady. So I've been trying to use her more than sage, since sage is being over harvested. And that annoying sound you hear is the random attic fan, which, you know, if I knew how to turn it off, I would. So here we are. I'm just separating these into lengths so that the wands are somewhat uniform, so that when I dry them, I don't have big stems sticking out. But let's talk about some more of the crazy spiritual experiences that I have had. And I am so looking forward to hearing your stories. So, one of the craziest guidance days I have ever had in my whole life was when I was opening the yoga studio. And for those of you that don't know, I'm a recovering yoga studio owner. I owned a yoga studio for 13, almost 14 years, which is a Saturn cycle for those of you who are studying astrology. And at the time, my children were quite young. You know, I can easily say now I had no idea what I was doing or what I was getting into. It was an itch I had to scratch. I have this evangelistic streak in me, like when I discover something. Like a good example is pizza stones. Like when I got a pizza stone, honestly, I would work that into every conversation. I'd be like, so by the way, do you have a pizza stone? Because they're so awesome and you need one. Anyways, I felt that way about yoga because I really felt like yoga saved my life. So fast forward, I decided to open a yoga studio. And at the time, my husband was a lawyer, and they make a decent amount of money, although we were always broke, but that's another story. It felt broke. So I had a really tight budget, and basically, you know, when I approached him about doing this, he was basically like, just don't lose any money, okay? So I was opening this studio on a budget, and I found this beautiful space and spent more than double what I had planned on rent. So I needed to be frugal, but it was really important that the space be beautiful. And then also, I had 3 little kids. I think my son was 4 at the time, which would have made my middle child 6, 7, 8, 10, you know, in that range, 9, 10. I mean, my babies were still babies. And I had to hire a babysitter to do everything, every meeting, every whatever. So I have one afternoon set aside, like 2 hours. Because, you know, even then my babysitter couldn't drive. So I had to pack all 3 children into the car, drive to the babysitter's house, pick up the babysitter, drive back to my house, unpack everybody, get everyone situated, get back in the car, go do my thing, come back, pack up the babysitter and all the 3 children, go back and deliver the babysitter back. And I always overpaid my babysitters because my children were not easy children, and they will tell you that. Anywho, so I have this super compressed time. I have a super tight budget. And I get in the car, and I'm just kind of visualizing what I want. And I instantly hear this voice in my head that says, go to Lowe's. Not that one. Go to this one. Oops, sorry, there's chickens about. I hear another voice. Go to this particular store. Go down this aisle. No, don't get that. Yes, do get this. And it was unbelievable, the synchronicities. Everything I needed at the price I could afford. Like, it was miraculous. Now I know, you know, if you've ever shopped at TJ Maxx or Tuesday Morning, those can be places where miraculous things happen, but usually you find amazing things that you don't need. I was finding exactly what I needed. Went to the resale shop, found the most incredible bookshelf. In fact, it's still there. It's so hip, it's so modern, it's so nice looking. I remember checking out and paying $50 for that thing, and the woman looking at me and going, you should be on one of those shows where you get these incredible bargains. I was like, yeah, I don't know why this is here, but it's here for me. So that was how the day was going. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm right on time. I'm gonna go pick up those babies. I'm gonna be right there when I told the sitter I'd be home. And so I'm going to, you know, take the car and get on the, you know, the interstate because it's quicker. You know, it's only you know, a couple miles down the road, but it's much quicker than going the back way. And that same little voice, which had given me such good guidance, which had carried me through, which had led me to all this magical stuff, says, don't do that, go the back way. And me, being me, instead I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would I go that way? That doesn't even make any sense. I mean, that's gonna like take me like an extra, like probably almost 10 minutes to go that way. And so here I am, you know, arguing with God, right? Or arguing with my guides, or arguing with myself. And while I'm having this argument, I go ahead and get on, you know, because I you know, don't have a lot of time. I don't want to be late. And I round the bend, and don't you know, traffic is backed up. It is a parking lot. And I sit there. I sit there in that traffic and think, what will it take for you to learn to tune in, Jill? What will it take for you to learn to trust these synchronicities? Which I'm sure my angels and guides will just like thunk, you know what I mean? Like, well, here she goes again, right? You know, when she listens, it's great, and when she doesn't, she gets stuck. So I think that's I feel like that's a really good lesson for all of us, something to kind of think about. The times that you didn't listen, right? And then another magical, let me look at my list. I got a list. Oh, right. Okay. So I was going to talk a little bit about experiences that one of my students had. I'm only going to name one. I've got 2 students who have had these incredible experiences with salt. But if you're a video member, you know from the video on practical magic, I do a whole thing on salt and the magical properties of salt, because salt is incredible. Salt is mystical. And salt is highly protective, and also salt helps to remove negative energies. You know, have you ever seen someone who's Italian, you know, and they'll put a little salt in the dish and throw a little over their shoulder for luck, right? Salt has been used as a preservative, as a agent of healing for thousands of years, right? So you can use salt to demagnetize auras. You can use salt as protective. You can scatter salt around a room and vacuum it up, and it will pull up the, sorry, I have chickens pecking at my, no chickens, mugwort. I don't think you guys would like this. But anyways, go eat the mugwort I put in the compost pile. So salt also can be used. I put it under the thresholds in my home. Like, there's a little area rug, and underneath the area rug, there's of course a scrap of yoga mat, because that's what I have and that's what I use. And under that is salt. I tend to use coarse sea salt or fine sea salt, either way. The only issue is when it gets wet. When it gets wet, it all crystallizes. But so anyways, I have a student who has a terrible situation with a neighbor, a woman who is jealous and thinks that my friend, who is a single mother, is after her husband, which is completely not true. The husband has been very kind. There's nothing untoward, and I do believe this. And so, but she can feel this anger energy emanating from this home that is right near there. And so I suggested to her a couple different cures, including putting up, you know, the evil eye. I usually wear the evil eye necklace, but there's a helicopter coming through if you hear that. Putting up the evil eye, you know, doing the feng shui things for the entry, protective things. And then I suggest to her that she make a line of salt. Where are they going? A line of salt along the property line. Now, of course, every time it rains, you have to renew this, and you have to keep in mind that plants are not going to super dig salt. So you're not going to, like, you know, put salt down right around your roses or something. And it can be very much a symbolic line of salt. You don't have to be out there with your giant Morton's kosher box just like heaping it down, right? And again, I prefer sea salt. The less processed, the better. But anyways, I've been known to use Morton's kosher if you need a lot. She puts this line of salt. Okay. She renews the line of salt. Okay. So the first couple times she puts it down, she puts it in a curve, right? It curves the property. Well, this last time she puts it down more on an angle. She just goes down the property line and then cuts over. And not just a couple days later, the family there had an inflatable swimming pool, a relatively new inflatable swimming pool. And don't you know that thing explodes? Right where that point of salt is like aiming. It splits and water pours out and across my friend's property. And then, of course, they're put in the position of having to be like, oh, I'm so sorry, you know, please don't, you know. It changed the power dynamic, right? And she attributed that to the salt. And I would too. Because in a lot of ways, that salt barrier helps the energy to bounce back. Which, if you're sending negative vibes towards someone and they get wise to it and have any kind of awareness or self-awareness, it reflects back on you. And actually, it doesn't even require that. You know what I mean? If you are a negative person and you're putting that out, believe me, that's what comes back to you. You reap what you sow. And it's part of the reason of living a spiritual life, is so that you have less repercussions. All right. I think I'm gonna let you know one more. Oh, yeah, this is a little bit of a sad one. Not sad, but sad to me. I moved into a house once, and it had this great view off the porch. Except that right there in front of you, in the neighbor's yard, like way down there, was this giant weeping willow tree. Magnificent tree, gorgeous tree. And I would sit on that porch and I would look over towards the mountains. I live in southwestern Virginia, and you know what? I haven't done a lot of traveling, but I've done enough to know this is one of the most beautiful places in the world. And I'm looking across at this mountain view, and I'm wishing that tree wasn't there. It was really in the way. I mean, I'm just thinking, wow, if they'd have planted that tree and just 20 feet to the other side. One day, there's a storm, and hits the tree. Tree's down, tree's gone, and I have my view. And I realized, with regret, the unintended consequences of my desire. And I remember expressing some guilt and feelings about that to a friend of mine, and she just patted me and just said, you know, that tree wanted to give you that view. And I was like, well, maybe. But it really made me think about how you can have these intentions. Some examples that people give is like, you have the intention, you really want to get like $200,000, and then you are in an accident and the insurance company gives you $200,000. You're like, no, please take it back. That's not what I want. That's not what I meant. It's really important when you're manifesting that you are aware and conscious. And when you are speaking, you're aware and conscious. And that when you're thinking, you're aware and conscious. Well, anyways, it's time to go get some twine to put these mugwort wands together. Beautiful. I appreciate your just patience and kindness. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button. It really does help the channel to grow. Please subscribe. Please hop on my website and subscribe to the newsletter in case there would ever be a time that I can't reach you via YouTube. I don't spam you, trust me. I send you a new moon newsletter once a month. And of course, if you want more content from me, I have a variety of memberships available. All right. I'll see you next time with more crazy spiritual stories. Namaste. Bye.